Okay, let's make a bandsaw box. I'm trying to make a bandsaw box out of this oddly shaped maple burl. So it's kind of a steep face on it here. So we'll see what we can do. I kind of sketched a line here. So let's take it over to the bandsaw and we'll cut the back of it off here and we'll get started. Here we are at the bandsaw. I'm going to use the fence here. We're going to rip 3/4 of an inch off here just because of this low spot right here. So we're going to get going. I'll turn this bandsaw on. It's a little noisy. And my vacuum system here, dust collection. Here we go. Now we got the back cut off. We're going to change this blade. I got a 3/8 blade in here. So I'm going to change that out to a 3/16. And then we'll cut the inside of this out. Okay, we'll be back after I change this blade. Okay, here I'm doing a voiceover. I did change the blade to a 3/16 inch wide blade, 4 teeth per inch, 4 TPI. That allows you to cut the inside of the box here. But unfortunately, when I cut the inside of this box here, I didn't hit record. So we'll make up for that here in a little bit. We'll cut the inside of this box that comes out of this. We'll cut that, make another box out of that too. So you'll get a chance to see how to cut the inside of that out then. All right, so we're going to take this guy and cut the back off. So we'll use the fence to make it straight. So we're probably going to go right at about 3/8 of an inch. Be good. There we go. So here we go. Okay, so when we cut the front off, I'm going to do this kind of freehand here. We've got kind of a funky angle. You can kind of see that, kind of a profile there. So we're going to follow this guy. Probably, I'll leave 3/8 of an inch or thereabouts. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll just follow this around here so we don't lose that face. So here we go. All right. So now we can cut this drawer out. We set this over here out of the way. Now we can cut this drawer out here like this. And this would be waste wood or use it for something else. But we'll cut that out and that will be the drawer. So we can freehand this or you can draw it out. I'm just going to freehand it. Save some time. Here we go. Okay, that's our drawer. This is waste. We'll see what we can do with that some other time. So we'll go over to the table here and do some mock-up, and then we'll do a little sanding and do some glue up. Okay, so here we are at the workbench. I'm going to take a look at this. This guy, I'm going to have to take and glue him back together here. Being this is a burl, it's pretty tough to move around, so I'll have to be careful with that. This is the back we took off of it, right here. And then this is the drawer we cut out. So we cut the back of it off. I could have done a little bit thinner on there, but I didn't. So it is what it is. And then I can't change it now. It is what it is. So this is the front of the box. And so this will all go together in here. When we're done, it'll slide in there. But we're going to leave it apart for right now. Get the insides here sanded up. I'm not going to do any kind of a coating inside. They're like a flock or anything like that. It's just going to be a box. So I'll just leave it plain since it's maple burl. It's going to look nice. I don't want to hide any of that. So I'll get the sanding on this thing, and we'll be back. Okay, we're going to start sanding on this little guy here. We'll start with the inside of the box, and some of this stuff here we'll just use the palm sander and do it that way. But the insides, I'll use this little guy here. It gets kind of loud. Here we go. Okay, lots of sanding. Got the inside of this box. I'm going to sand some of that up a little bit here. So lots of sanding on this one. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a little glue up here. I got some Type Bond 3 and a mustard container here. So the hard part here is getting that glue down in that groove here. So see what I can do about that. Okay, here I'm gluing up where the saw blade entered the block to cut out the drawer. So I did that, followed the grain from the bottom. So you want to kind of keep that kind of in an inconspicuous spot. And follow the grain, and it will hide that pretty good. Just remember, when you clamp this shut, it's going to make it a little bit smaller. So a little more sanding. Oh boy. This is that inside piece of that box we made. So we're going to try and make another little box out of this guy instead of wasting it. So let's give it a shot here. I'm going to cut the back off once again, about 1/4 of an inch. Here we go. Okay, so that's the back. Let's see if we can cut the inside of this guy out. Okay, when you get to this point, just turn that saw off so you can get that blade out of your box much easier. It's a lot easier and safer to do it that way. Now we're just going to cut the front and the back off. And I'm going to move this up here, cut the back off. So here we go. All right, down over there. Now we can cut the inside of this thing out. Okay, we're back here. Got this taken out of the clamps. Did a little bit of sanding on it. I know sanding's a little boring, so kind of spared everybody from that. But I got this. So before you glue your back on, I found doing this a couple times that you want to test your drawer out. That way, if you got to get in here and make any changes, you still can get all the way through this thing and make some changes, especially in the back of the box if it's a little tight. But anyways, this drawer fits in there. Might have to sand it a little bit more. It's pretty good. Well, if I put a finish on that, it's going to get really tight quick. So I'll do a little more sanding on there and make it a little more loose. And then I'll glue this. I think I can glue this box on now, do all my adjusting to the drawer. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue the back of this guy on here. So here we go. These burrows just really seem to soak up this glue because it's like just about gluing on edge grain most of the time. It grains all over the place, so it soaks it up pretty good in spots. So what I want to do here is just kind of wipe up a little around the edge here, just to keep that squeeze out from going inside the box too much. I think that's pretty good. I want to check up here. Okay, we're doing a lot of sanding here on these guys here, and we're testing our fit on our box here. So this one seems to fit pretty good. There's quite a bit of slack in there, so you want quite a bit of slack in there. You put a finish on here, it'll get tighter. So you want some slack in there. So or a little play anyway. So you want to be able to do a little play in there. So I'll start off with 100 grit on here and then finish off with 220 and then we'll call that good. A lot of hand sanding. So if you get like a little gap, like your small little gaps here, I'll just take a little bit of glue. Like there's a little gap right there. I don't know if you can see it. But it's just a little tiny gap. I'll take a little glue here and I'll rub right in that gap. Best I can. And then I'll run this sander over it. And that'll fill that little gap in. Looks pretty good. If you're going to stain it, it's going to show up anyways. But when you put a clear finish on it, it hides it pretty good. So it does a good job. So we'll get to sanding. All right, we're getting there on the sanding here. So this drawer fits really good in here. So I've kind of gone over everything with some 220 sandpaper here, check my gaps and all that stuff. And so it's looking pretty good. And then, so if you remember, we cut the inside of this box out here to make the drawer. So we cut this all out. So that cutout, I'm making another box out of instead of wasting stuff. So this is another little box from that cutout there. So we'll make this little box here, and it fits in there like this. But this was the cutout. So you can see there. So it's kind of cool. If you wanted to store them that way, you could. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I'm going to put a little handle on this and make it a unit all by itself. So we'll see what happens here, see what it looks like. Kind of fun. Okay, I forgot to turn my mic on here. This is a handle I made out of walnut. And I kind of had to shape it a little bit there to meet the angles of the box. One side's at a slant there, and I've cut that at an angle. I'll have to try to fasten that on there. I think what I'll end up doing is gluing that down with some CA glue, and then use some toothpicks, drill some holes in there, and then pin that to that box. Well, here we go with that CA glue. You don't get any second chance with this stuff. You put that accelerator on there and it's pretty much over. So you got to kind of get this lined up right. I got a couple of little tiny pencil marks on there that I placed on there to help line up this handle. So it's pretty tricky here. You got to hold her in place there. The more you move it around, the more problems you have with it. So anyways, it seemed to work out for this one. Okay, so I'm going to spray a little bit of activator on there, and that just accelerates the glue drying. Yeah, it works pretty good, and it doesn't really seem to affect the finish. Once it dries clear, and I haven't seen it affect too much, but that's on there. So I'll drill this out now with a drill, and insert some toothpicks in there, cut them off, sand them down. It should look pretty good. Okay, just in case you want to know, 5/64 drill bit. That toothpick will fit into that hole really snug. So if you want to use this, I would suggest moving your drill bit around a little bit to allow some of that glue to go in with the toothpick. Otherwise, it's really pretty tight and it's going to scrape your glue off going in. So I'll wobble it around here a little bit, get that in there, and I'm kind of pinning at angles so that it won't have a hard time pulling out straight, and I don't think it would. But anyways, now I got a little hammer here to tap that toothpick in also. So it seemed to work pretty good. So I've got some toothpick hanging out here, so I take a razor knife and just kind of score the sides of it, and then I'll snap it off, and it snaps off pretty clean. And then I'll take that orbital sander and just run over the handle a little bit, touch that up a little bit, and it looks pretty good. And when you take a look at the handle up a little closer there, you can see that the pins look pretty good, but you can see that super glue around the edge there. I'll hand sand some of that off with some 120 first, and then I'll touch it up with some 220, and it'll work out pretty good. It'll take care of it. Well, this is how it looks after sanding it. So I thought it looks pretty good. Cleaned up pretty good. This will work. I blew everything off with the air compressor to get everything off, but I use a little tack cloth here to kind of get in there. Some of that stuff stays on there, so I don't want to have a bunch of stuff in the finish when I get down here. So I'll rub this all over it, get a lot of that dust off, and tack cloth works pretty good. Now it's time for some finish. So I'm going to use some oil-based polyurethane. I like using the water-based polyurethane for some projects, but for something like this,
where I want the wood to pop, I find that the oil-based polyurethane works a little better than the water-based. It just, you get a deeper tone. It gets into the wood a little better. And I've got these pieces of wood here with some nails. I shot through them, little pins. That'll help hold everything up, so I can put a finish on the whole thing and then set the back on these pins, and it works pretty good. So we'll put this finish on here, and we'll be back.
Okay, we got a coat on this stuff, so we'll just let this stuff set for several hours, and then we'll come back and put some more coats on it. See you then. Okay, so these are done. I'm done putting finish on them. Pretty much for now, anyways. They look pretty good. Let's take a look at these. Come on in here and we'll take a look at these. This is the bigger one of the two. And it turned out pretty good. So you make sure you sign your work. The handle looks okay, I think. And then the drawer looks like that. And then we have this little box here, was a result of cutting this drawer out. This is what was left over, so I made another little box out of that and showed you how to cut the inside of that out. So this little guy here came out of, that's where that came out of, just to show you. So you could make some nesting boxes there, but I put a little knob on here for a drawer, so that's not gonna work too good like that.